approach the world without biases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
I think approach the world without biases and without, whenever you meet people, just try to think good of them. And don't lead with an outcome based. I think, we interact with people, we want to achieve something, but I think also, whatever the opportunity is, it might be a good opportunity in terms of business and trade, but it might be with the wrong person. So in terms of looking for opportunities, look for good people, then worry about the opportunities.
This is Lee, Motivationalee, where our passion meets our purpose.
First question I ask them, Lee, I honestly ask them, I say, are you coachable or not? Because that's going to determine.
Yes, because if they're not coachable, they don't listen, they're stubborn and they have fixed mindset, they're not coachable.
And if they say to me, which has happened in our office, people listening have seen this live, and they say to me they are coachable, and I say, look, give me 10 push-ups, I'm counting. If I don't see you do 10 push-ups, then how do I know you are going to make decisions under very difficult circumstances if you're not doing 10 push-ups, for example?
Yeah.
And that's a joke. That's not really. And look, what I'm trying to say here is it's going to be making tough decisions under tough circumstances that involve your life, your family, and most importantly, involve your energy. This is the critical part. So where do you want your energy state to be stuck or flowing like a river under all circumstances? In life, you can't have a platform where everything aligns perfectly, but you can put a state of mind that's willing to challenge yourself and navigate through those circumstances, irrespective of the circumstance, whether it be marriage, business, life, fitness, whatever it is. You are responsible for your own happiness,
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
I think it's challenging and confronting, but my belief is this: we're born alone and we die alone. I think when you think of it that way, that then you are responsible for a lot of things in your life, including, you may have life falling apart in 10 different places, but you may have a choice to push yourself to find that thing that makes you happy.
Yeah, and the decision is your accountability.
Well, look, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Why?
Because accountability already predispositions. I think whenever you have an accountability for an outcome, you predestine yourself to that outcome. But when you think in terms of, I'm accountable for my energy and my flow and state, and things will happen miraculously. You might think that might not be the case, but the thing is, things will happen outside of what you could have imagined and what you could have thought.
Yeah, but you were given the wisdom to choose on things in life, to decide on things in life. Look, in every decision, you are not just responsible but also accountable.
So I think now, discussing it further, accountability could have a lot of different definitions. But yes, basic accountability, such as turning up to court. That would be good because the judge can really help you with your case if you turn up to court, right? Accountability such as, trying to engage with a process of resolution, such as mediation and engaging with a good counsellor, having good friends in this type of circumstances. Sometimes you're better off having no friends than having the wrong friends. I've seen it.
Why do you say that? Having no friends, did you say? Having no friends? Well,
having in a circumstance, having the wrong friends.
Is it during the relationship?
Generally during breakdowns and things generally speaking, but generally in life as well. But generally in a period that's very sensitive for people, because our emotions and energy state is affected. Let's be honest, that's how it is. And of course, there are things that might be negative in life. You have to accept that you might have you might be involved in a car accident. You might, things could happen.
So with all of these experiences and different circumstances as well that you have looked after, would you be able to recall maybe there'll be a lot, okay? One of the most unforgettable case that you have encountered that has created an impact on your practice as a lawyer, good or bad, okay?
Lee, I think I've been involved in a number of profound cases, and I've been involved in a number of cases that relate to death. So it's not the only case that I've been involved, with regards to a death occurring or someone passing away. But one of the most profound cases that I was involved in was this crash that was reported in the media in Katanning, Victoria. An accident that occurred at an intersection with a family and a truck as they were going to school, with both vehicles being engulfed in flames beyond recognition.
Oh my God.
And only from the car, only one survivor, which was a 9-year-old boy. Well, the truck driver surviving actually, so truck was burnt. Mm-hmm. And a passerby was going by, and farmer, and he managed to rescue the child. I think that was a very, very profound case that I saw up close, and dealing with representing the truck driver. And you have to understand, Lee, that as a lawyer, we only get the chance to represent defendants in a criminal case, not the Crown or the prosecution case. That's the job of the police or the prosecutions, what we call. So as a private lawyer, we don't get to represent, and we only get to represent defendants. And I think sometimes people don't understand that lawyers represent defendants. People are entitled to legal representation. I think that's something that's profoundly need to be understood, that legal representation is a fundamental right. But that case is one that I vividly remember, and one that is profound for many reasons because of how many lives that case impacted in an adverse way. So I think having family members that were involved in a car accident, very close family members that resulted in their deaths, you have to reflect that you are dealing with something that is so profound for those family members. And you also have to do your job at court.
Yes. Which
would involve applying for bail, meaning seeking bail of a person prior to the trial or the charges being tried at court, whether that person pleads guilty or is in a contested trial. Wow. And we had a very senior judge to deal with a case that required this person to give witness to a judge to represent himself, because his testimony and his evidence at court was a critical factor in this person to gain bail. The case involved international jurisdiction and international law, insofar as there was a very famous case called Puneet, which is still ongoing. And anyone familiar with Puneet case is a very well-known international case for Australia, which involves a person of Indian background who was driving a taxi, as far as I know, that resulted in a collision with a student in Melbourne near the Crown side. Oh. And that person had left overseas, and Australia has still not been able to bring him back. He's been found.
Okay.
And concerns that my client, also being of an Indian background, could result in an outcome that would result in all sorts of international complications, was weighing heavily on the legal system. The ultimate conclusion of that case was the judge had decided that the accused would be granted bail with strict reporting conditions. Horrific accident. And understanding that my client, he was newly married, younger person, and understanding how something that had occurred in a split second had destroyed so many lives, had impacted very, very profound and very up close. I think, Lee, we need to understand that, as humans and as a humanity, and ultimately it's just an absolute sadness to witness. And later on, having found out that bail hearing was later taught to, students that were studying how the bail application process works and the complications, was something I think that's important to understand, that, the reason for bail and the court's presumption of innocence or the innocence prior to a trial, the presumption in a contested trial unless a guilty plea is entered to. That is a case that has, that is one thing that I will consider in my career, that if I don't recall anything else, that will be, my involvement and my witnessing and experience in that case.
That's a tough job. Thank you so much for sharing. What could be the misconceptions of other people regarding a lawyer?
Every lawyer's life is different. I think we need to understand. Just like every person's life is different. There's no one stereotype of a lawyer. And there are all types of lawyers, and the good lawyers, I believe, bring in their personality, their feelings, their demeanour to the legal system and try to come up with solutions and outcome. Look forward to resolving. So I think if you are thinking of a lawyer, you should be thinking of a person, ideally, that has compassion, capacity to understand quite technical and dense material, able to retain information and synthesize that information via memory. I know lawyers also take notes, but I think when you are dealing with a dynamic, being able to rely on your own mind is something that is required. That's very important.
True.
And someone that can discuss procedural aspects of a case, at least, with other lawyers. So generally, I think when I'm dealing with most lawyers, they do tend to be professional and quite good at what they do in terms of how they conduct themselves. So I think overall, I would say lawyers are good people. I think good humans.
You're good, of course.
Look, I think when they're dealing with problems, obviously it's not their personal problems as well, that you also need to understand and separate that.
You're representing them. Yeah.
Correct, you are representing.
And there'll be lots of challenges as well. Speaking of challenges, what is that unforgettable challenges that you have encountered in your entire journey as a lawyer, and how did you overcome it?
I think we face challenges every single day. I think the biggest challenge for a lawyer is actually nothing to do with the law. My personal experience. Those challenges involve business and marketing and, challenges that a business faces. So I think they've been my biggest challenges in terms of, law and legal practice and how you can obtain, from a commercial law perspective, clients that are lucrative or, in terms of you can grow your business through those clients. Because you have to understand that as a business, we require clients to grow the business, right? And whilst also emphasizing that, whilst trying to be the best, not to pull other people down, not to have the scarcity mindset, but to have the abundance mindset.
Yes, that's really good.
Because I think I told
good
you,
mindset,
absolutely a good mindset,
lifting
other people up as you go along. Because I think I told you earlier in my podcast, the reason why I didn't want to go to a major corporate practice was because of it doesn't represent the whole industry. I make that clear. But, it was the attitude that, other people are beneath you. It just does not sit well with me. And then the other problem you have is, how do you separate your personality from your job? We talk about work-life balance. And I don't think you can have a balance cut-off point. Meaning, you can't be a different person in a different environment and a different person in a different environment. I think this is very inauthentic and ingenuine. So I think you are the person you are under all circumstances. And you might have some strong points and weak points. So ultimately the challenges and growing to be the best law practice in Australia. I think that's my ambition. And then beyond that, to be the best law practice on planet Earth.
With your good mindset, you'll be able to overcome any insurmountable obstacles, because exactly, you have an awareness about yourself.
If that's the ultimate destiny, that we are able to overcome these challenges, it is.
Yeah, it's a choice.
It's the choice of the universe. Yes. It's a choice of the universe.
The energy.
The energy.
Energy.
Correct. If the energy and the universe support us, then we'll be able to overcome any challenge at any moment.
The law of attraction, the energy.
Well, look, the law of attraction, or a positive mindset, or you can call it, many other things. But I think, you have to work together with nature and nurture and the universe to come up with a solution. And I'm totally fine not to be the best lawyer in Australia or the best lawyer, globally. I'm okay with that. But I think as an aspiration, if you're going to have an aspiration, it should be something very significant, very high, correct?
Yes.
You want to be the best podcast program. Definitely, we want you to be the best podcast program. So people,
let's manifest that.
Let's manifest that.
Yeah.
Let's say, Lee will be the, not, we won't give names, because the thing is, we want you to be you. So we will be, Lee will be the best podcast that, people can tune and watch. It'll be the most authentic, the most helpful. Yeah. And I think the most motivational, because that's your whole brand, your whole concept, right? So, and you're going to find motivation through challenges, and, we find inspiration. So they'll tell me, tell me your most memorable moment in your career. And I'll tell them, the best, most memorable for me, if it's you asking the question, will be having a coffee with you. That would be, that every moment is memorable. There is no, when it comes down to it, all the technicalities aside, it comes down to human interaction.
Yeah. That's why they say enjoy every moment.
Absolutely.
And seize the moment. And every
seize
day,
the moment,
seize the day,
if
and
possible,
grateful.
If possible, if that's
possible,
what happens.
I think in the course of our journey in life, you have your goal, and with your goal, you have your why, right?
Yes.
And you know exactly, you anchor that why into your goal so that you can focus more on that kind of vision. But there are possible challenges. It could be, it's going to be happening soon, or maybe it's already happening. So in that moment, on that moment, you need to think about the possible strategies in each of those particular or specific challenges, whether it's happening or not, so that you'll be able to, just like you know exactly if it's happening or not.
Yes.
You have that possible strategies to combat all those negativities and challenges or setbacks. And then you can refocus or focus back on your vision. And
I think you are quite right. I think that would work. The only other complication, because I always want to add,
there you go. As a lawyer, there should be
there should always be a non-linear. Every point should have a non-linear thinking attached to it. That as a lawyer, we do work in teams, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm not going to come up with all the solutions. Like we work, with the solicitors, with barristers, with judges as well. I mean, in terms of procedure and discussion. So we are all working in a collaborative way, actually, with the client, and even, there could be points of agreement with the opposition as well, as to, for example, jurisdiction. So when you work collaboratively, you don't expect to come up with all the solutions yourself personally. The way I see it on my team, even though I might be a great contributor, I might be a significant contributor, but I always see my contribution as 5%. You know why I see it as 5%? If I see my contribution as beyond that, then the ideas of other people that I haven't thought about, I need to integrate those ideas to the overall vision. And I've been doing these type of things, this type of structure my whole life. By listening, we can adapt and adopt a lot of ideas to integrate it to a vision, and that would only come together at the very last minute, at the very last moment. And there is no very last moment, because there is a moment after the very last moment, if that makes sense. So it's never ending. It's never ending. It's in flux.
Yes.
It's always in motion. It's always in movement. So we're always at the beginning and always at the end of something, and we're always moving, through time and space towards.
So you've said about future and all that. Moving forward, what is as you move towards the peak of your career, obviously, and you're very successful anyways right now. What is the most rewarding part of your career that you think, even if you grow older, how should I say that? As you progress your age, you'll always be grateful for?
I think, you have to think, I don't think really in peaks.
Interesting.
The reason why I don't think in peaks is because I think of the present moment. And, of course, the past is essential to our story, but the future will mean that the present is at the past. So I don't think I will be thinking, profoundly at that moment, hopefully, about these type of questions insofar as it will be something of focus to me. I'm hoping that in the future I will have new focuses. I will be living in that present moment in the future, that the lessons I learned today and the lessons I've learned in the past can be helpful in that future moment.
Oh, good.
So I believe every day is training. We are training for the future, and, in terms of the peak, well, we're never at the peak. We can never reach the peak. And the future will, determine itself. I don't think it's just up to me to determine the future. But I'll keep trying. I'll turn up every day, with an energy to engage the world in a positive, in a motivational
do your
direction.
part,
Do my
best.
part and contribute. That's how I see the future for myself personally.
And you've talked about the lessons. What lessons have you learned all throughout this journey as being a successful lawyer?
I think, Lee, I have to consider this, that we don't just learn lessons just because it's a profession. We learn lessons as a human being. And I've been involved in many other things, some of which, outside of the law. And, the law is only one aspect of my life, an important aspect, but still only one aspect of my life that integrates and interrelates to so many other areas. But the lesson I've learned, as a lawyer personally, is always trying to display compassion and empathy and genuineness and try to understand the other person. I have come across many people, you can say are not good people. And I have always found myself liking something about that person. And a friend of mine has said, look, you always have an ability to think, good about humans and good about other people. But I say, well, look, I thought, this act of theirs was something that was great. In fact, I thought that was amazing. I know, they've had a troubled history or how they really deal with other people. And they will say to me, Abdullah, I think, what you've recognized is aspects of goodness. And people have aspects of goodness. But what I like to think is, Lee, those aspects of goodness can really transform a person into something greater, into something far greater than themselves. And people can transform their own lives and to transform the lives of many. And to always view people as having that capacity, if not today, then in the future, that they could improve and contribute to humanity in a very positive way. So I am not writing, anyone off from after my experiences in dealing with people. I can feel their pain and their negativity in their life and where they're coming from. And when you can feel people on a profound way, you develop something that's called understanding.
What do you do as strategies in order for you to, coping strategies? What do you normally do? Or have you ever doubt yourself, yes or no? And what are those coping strategies as a successful lawyer and with a great mindset? I know you don't need anything because you've got a great mindset, but have you ever done something like a strategy to cope
I think the question is, have I ever doubted myself? Now, if I said to you the answer is either yes or no, that won't represent an accurate picture. Because from my life, I can tell you, even though I have been immensely positive in my own mindset and I've tried to, endure towards a positive future in difficult circumstances, I have experienced what some people have also experienced, which is profound jealousy. When you experience this kind of envy and this kind of jealousy and this type of things, which I have experienced from a young age, you, of course, will be negatively impacted in terms of doubting yourself. It's not the self-doubt, it's just the energy that is around you. And it is really unfortunate that, you experience this, and this will create, a feeling of maybe self-doubt. Maybe this will not be able to be achieved. And I think, that has been my personal experience in life. The thing is, there are circumstances and there are people, they will be jealous and will portray negative energy towards you no matter what you do and no matter the circumstances. Will not show any understanding or any forgiveness or empathy, profound empathy beyond your circumstances because of, where you find yourself. And This is a whole subject matter on its own.
Yeah.
But I think, that's what I would describe myself as being, experiencing this, which can cause, if you don't have an understanding, to doubt yourself. But on a personal level, I've been hopeful of the future, as always. And this is not necessarily something that you learn as a lawyer. I think, we need to distinguish. There are personal attributes, and there's the journey of being a lawyer that can teach you so much.
True. And you talk about envy, in general, envy, people who are envious.
Yes.
They're just insecure. They may be sad as well. So no matter how good you are or you're doing the right things, great things, they can never appreciate you. You know why? Because in the beginning, they don't like you anyways. So they're not there to appreciate you, but they're there to destroy you. No matter what you do.
Absolutely.
So it's always like that. They're sad. They're insecure.
Well, I think that's the and going back, I believe even those people can change. So I'm not writing anybody
of course,
off.
Yeah. As long as they're aware about, they have self-awareness and great mindset as well.
And that kind of jealousy of the person, not of their achievements, but of the actual person. Like that is something that I have experienced number of occasions. And that's why I try to hang around with people that have good energy.
Definitely. And you can feel that, right?
You can feel that, absolutely.
It's the law of attraction, it's the energy. You can really see it, even if the first time you met this person, you would know that this is this kind of good vibes. So we can, our energy can meet and we can be good buddies, not just, best friends or whatever, but, there's certain energy that binds both of you together, and as a community as well. And if that happens, there's a certain point that you can feel that everyone's really cheering for you, and that they're genuinely, giving back that love, and you're giving back that love to them as well.
I think as a humanity, we all seek the same thing, and we want the same thing. And I think ultimate conclusion of humanity will be that we will achieve that. I profoundly believe, irrespective of our background, race, religion, understanding, wealth, possession, that we deep down want the same thing, and that is to be united, and that is to feel that we are united and to feel that we are a collective.
Yes.
I believe that.
But sometimes, people in general, we want more.
As individuals, we want more.
In many different ways that we want more.
Absolutely. We want more because that's because we have
skills,
absolutely.
knowledge.
We always want more. I think that's just human nature. We always want more. If we don't have that, then that's profoundly human to want more. But whilst wanting more, you shouldn't want others to have less.
Yeah.
Because when when you are dealing with an outcome-based system, it means that some people are going to, in your mind, for you to achieve an outcome, you are betting almost, or you are seeking that other people are losing. So for example, if there is one job for CEO and there's 100 applicants, the thing is, that's the problem with outcome-based thinking, or linear thinking, I call it, that you are thinking, well, I want to be a CEO. We also have to realize that 99 other people have missed out on that role. And if I'm a CEO of something, I would acknowledge, all those people that have put forward. And that's just in relation to a job, which is not, in my view, not the most significant thing in life. We all have to be occupied and try to do things together and individually as well.
True.
So I think, outcome-based thinking is what is driving that. I want this and I want that. Whereas non-outcome-based thinking can create an outcome where collectively it can be profoundly different to something that we have even thought of already.
I can see that you're a good leader, a great leader, perhaps, And being a leader and a CEO, what could be your advice?
I think, Lee, my answers are always going to be, very different to what people would assume.
Wow,
where if leadership is about control and controlling other people, I want nothing to do with it.
But you're different. I mean, you're open-minded and
absolutely
has a good mindset. I think mindset, emotional intelligence is very important when it comes to leadership. But speaking of that,
absolutely. And
what could be?
If I can say about leadership, leadership is seeking the best in other people and working collectively and thinking about them already in the best circumstances to inspire. Yes. I think that's what a good leader is. A good leader is one that makes other leaders. Yeah. That in fact makes everybody in the world a leader. I think that would be the future where everybody is a leader. They inspire each other.
Yes. My
personal view, I believe there is a spiritual connection with leadership.
That's good. This is a good topic for another podcast. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for that. What could be your advice to the younger generation, or any age perhaps, who are wanting to try being an entrepreneur? Yeah. What could be your best advice for that?
Good question, Lee. I think I've been very fortunate again to have friends in all age brackets. My feedback to those people is approach the world without biases. Whenever you meet people, just try to think good of them and don't lead with an outcome based. I think, we interact with people, we want to achieve something, but I think also whatever the opportunity is, it might be a good opportunity in terms of business and trade. You have to also consider a lot of these type of factors. If you asked me whether I would do business with a company or a CEO that had $1 billion in their pocket, in terms of monetary. Yeah. And I've been approached. I have been fortunate that, I've been approached by companies and people with, significant amounts of money to do business with them. And I've refused. Their energy profoundly does not align with my energy. So I would rather personally interact and try to do something for in terms of finance or in terms of a future with a person that aligns more closely to me.
That's good.
And they're the type of people that I think, are going to, in general in my life, that are going to want to do good for others. And those people that want to do good for others are the perfect type of business partner and friends that I can align with. So in terms of looking for opportunities, look for good people, then worry about the opportunities.
Look for good people.
Look for good people.
Look
for good people. Because sometimes you can try to do business for the sake of business, but with the wrong people. And that could lead your life to a direction of sorrow, misery and unhappiness. Yeah. And we also need to understand, Lee, that this world is temporary. We are not going to be forever. When we pass away, we're not going to take our material possessions with us.
Yes.
As much as we calculate the dollars in the bank accounts and all of that.
They're all, temporary in this world.
They are temporary. Yes. We are living literally in a temporary.
Enjoy every moment what you have, but learn how to share as well.
I think the only thing
at the right time, right reason, right manner.
The only thing I think that's permanent is our being and our energy state, on this earth. I think that is profoundly permanent, and we interact we lead with that. And I think humanity would be a better place if we lead with energy and focusing on positivity, not outcomes. Yep. And not solutions. Because the minute you lead towards outcomes, you're bound to have problems. The minute you lead with togetherness and unity, you are bound to come up with solutions that work for all people. Because in the end, my personal view is humanity has to agree on a joint conclusion that is going to make all of us happy. Because if you think of it this way, why would we want, as humans, solutions that only make us happy and don't make fellow humans happy? Yeah. Well, I think instinctively when we think good of other people, and when we think good of people that are very different to us, we're already aligning our energies as potential allies and collaborators to a singularity, to a conclusion that it already instinctively is solution focused from the start. And we need to also understand that it's not an individual that's going to change this globe. It's going to be humanity as a collective. Yep. And that is a profound understanding that we need to develop instead of thinking that we are this and we are that. Yeah. We are humans first and foremost, and that is our finality.
Thank you so much, Abdullah, for a well-discussed matters today. I feel like I'm being a lawyer today. I'm actually learning so much, and I know today is not enough for us to talk about different laws and your experiences and your journey as well. I am really, feeling that feeling empowered as well and inspired on what you do. We're aligning our purpose, which is really good. That's the most important thing.
I'm feeling inspired by yourself.
You might be able to.
And thank you for inviting, me to your podcast.
You're always welcome.
This is the first time I've ever been.
Oh, really?
Ever been.
Thank you
on a
for
podcast.
coming. Yeah.
So it's a unique experience, having never been on a podcast.
Yeah.
And it was my destiny to be on this podcast with you. So
it's the energy.
It's the energy.
It's the energy that aligns.
Absolutely.
That's good. Aligns us together.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I'm sure, again, this is not the end of how we collaborate. Mm-hmm. This is just the beginning of our synergizing together. Looking forward to this for another podcast again.
Absolutely.
And thank you for inspiring everyone as well in your expertise and as a person of who you are, as a CEO and as a successful lawyer and a great man, a great husband, a great dad. What else?
Look, we all aspire to be good.
But the most important thing about you is that mindset. Mm-hmm. Not everyone, it's not all about the degree. It's not all about the status of your career. It's all about your attitude of what do you value the most. Mm-hmm. And that great mindset can take you a long way. And you're doing that. You are coachable, reachable, and you really align with other people's purpose, which is to, inspire, just like me, motivationally, motivate and create an impact to everyone. So looking forward for the next podcast, okay? And your podcast as well in the future,
absolutely.
Okay?
Look, I hope I've been inspired by you. And
as I said
before, we've been discussing how can I do a podcast, Lee, because you've taught me so much. I
hope so.
That's how you learn about things by asking other people.
Yeah, and I learned so much from you, the law, but I'm not going to study law anyway. It's just too much in my brain. I would rather be a nurse. It's easier, connecting to people. But I'm not saying that, every degree or course, there'll always be challenges and an exciting journey.
Absolutely. Every person contributes.
And we have our own calling as well. So you've been called to become a lawyer.
Absolutely.
I'm called to become somebody motivationally.
Yeah. 100%. Well, you are very motivational. I can say that. I've seen you many times, outside of podcasting and a good energy and a good positive feeling that you leave upon others. Yeah. I think it comes from a very spiritual place, and it's probably got a lot to do with your childhood and growing up and the different experiences you've had.
And just being authentic in what you do, because if you're genuine, people can really feel and can really, not just feeling, but they can see that.
Absolutely.
The way, as soon as you open your mouth, your body language, people
100%.
can really feel. Even if someone comes through the door, you would know if they're negative or positive. So sometimes, in my Saturn world, I try to, I don't want to use the word filter, but I would know that if this is not going to be a good motivation for me to carry on and do better things and continue my advocacy, then you're not in that kind of circle, because that would only pull you down.
Absolutely.
Right? They're like crabs. So we make sure that we surround ourselves
with positivity is very
great
important.
People. We're not trying to be discriminating. We don't discriminate people.
We're trying to aspire everybody to be positive.
But we want to make sure that people around you are there to cheer you up, not to bring you down. As I've mentioned a while ago, for those who are watching, people who don't like you, whatever you do, they will not appreciate, whatever
and
good things that you've done.
That's a problem with their own
because they don't
selves.
Like you. Yeah,
that's a problem.
There's
with their
envy,
own
there's insecurities, and
Absolutely.
all that. They're there not to appreciate you, but to destroy you. So be mindful of that. You should know the people around you, the community, because there are toxic people around us, and we can really feel that energy. But anyways, thank you once again.
Thank you, Lee.
And thank you so much for watching. And I hope that you continue to support my advocacy, inspire, motivate, and create an impact. This is Lee, Motivationalee. You have the power to create the life that you desire. Stay motivated, everyone. Have a good day. See you again next time. Bye.